from the south of India in a city called Bangalore. It's a large city in India. It's amongst the top five largest cities. I have a varied background. Okay, I have presently I run an experiential tours company for the last 3 4 years. But prior to that, I've run a e-commerce uh, business. We used to export Indian ethnic wear to the Indian South Asian diaspora across the world. And before that, I've also run a human resource consulting firm. Okay, we used to work with large corporations like Tesco, HP, IBM, those kind of large organizations which have big bases in Bangalore. And prior to that, I have been a farmer too. So a lot of variety in my life over the last 2 decades, and I think that makes it interesting in what I do currently, which is truly my passion, and which is the reason I started. I decided after all these things, I'm going to focus my life doing what I love, which is culture, history, and meeting wonderful folks from around the world like you. So here we are. So today's agenda. Maybe Minji, you want to say something about that?
Yes. So. With Praveen, we are going to travel and get to know the Mughal culture in India. In fact, several weeks ago, Rupak and his wife Nidhi also did a session about history of the Mughal Empire in India. Okay. I probably, like other guests in the group, we are a little bit curious, what's the role of Mughals in Indian history? Why it's so significant that both of you came up with this theme?
Well, first of all, I'm going to excuse you and maybe Rupak here. I want to ask, has anybody else heard of the Mughals before? So, okay, is it because of a previous episode in this program? All right. So if you had not had that, and if you not had today, my guess is you wouldn't have heard of them at all. Like, that's the way our history is, So we know more of Greek history, we know about the Romans, we know about Egyptians. There are great civilizations across the world, right? So it's not restricted.
Hello, we are losing Praveen a little bit.
Such beautiful capture. We should
very passionate picture, but
this is what we're going to figure out.
Okay.
Welcome back.
Yeah, you heard me? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is my agenda. Okay, to highlight the greatness of my country, India. So this is just one epoch, a small period that we're going to be focusing on. We have a lot of history, and our culture goes back to more than 5,000 years. So we're just focusing on one small aspect, and that's what we're going to do in the next 30-40 minutes.
Great.
All right.
And what you said resonate with some of us, especially me, because it's true. Physically being in Europe, we learn a lot about European history, which in part was the foundation of Western society's development. But it's always good to widen our perspectives and learn about wider history and culture of our human being. So without any delay, I'm going to hand all the airtime to you. Would you like to start your fun game of the movie right now?
Thank you. All right, so I'm going to share the screen now. Let me just start with that. Yeah. Okay, can you all hear me? Yeah. I can't see you, that's why. Okay, that's me doing what I love doing best, talking about my culture, about our history and heritage in India. And this is, I'm meeting people from across the world. This is my current avatar for the last 4 years. Okay, yeah. So what we're going to do today is our project, our agenda is called, it's called the Taj Mahal and the Mughal Wonders Fun Trivia Game. It's a quiz game. And that's what we're going to do. You're going to know more about this culture. The guys who actually built, everybody knows the Taj Mahal, I'm sure. It's one of the greatest monuments in the world. It's amongst the new 7 wonders of the world. It's ranked as #1. So we know that. But who are the guys who built that? And that's part of the focus today. They're called the Mughals. Okay, so I'm going to. It's in the form of a trivia game, come cultural expositions. Okay, so. If you come to India, you're not too far away from an elephant. Okay, this is something that you will certainly come across when no sooner you visit India within a few days. All right, so Here we go. Okay, are you all able to see what I'm showing?
Yes.
All right, so this is an image of the founder. His name is founder of the Mughal Empire. His name is Babur. Now he comes from Central Asia, from a place called Fargana, and and his mother is a relative of Genghis Khan. Now he's one of the major rulers of the world, and his father his father is from the family of Timur, who's another great warrior from Central Asia. So Babur is a young prince in Fargana who is quickly ousted by his rivals and has to fend for himself for a couple of decades. He lands up in Kabul for some time, and then around the 1520s, he sets his sights on India, and yeah, I'll tell you next what happens. So this takes us to our first question for today. Okay. In which modern nation are Samarkand and Fargana, where Babur is from, located in today? You have four options: Afghanistan, Iran, Uzbekistan, or Turkey.
So I'm seeing quite a few texts. A lot of people type C, but I am going to pick one person, one guest today to make a final decision. JD, since you are the one who came up with name calling method, I'm going to call your name now. Would you please make a final decision for our group? Which answer are you going to go?
I think it's B. Not sure.
So are you sure it's B for boy? Are you sure?
Yes. The B is different now. It's taking a lot of credit. C.
Yeah.
Hey.
JD, next time.
All right. Okay, let's move on. So this is a map of India, an ancient Indian map, prior to on the eve of Babur's conquest of India. He captures the land on the right-hand side with the green portion. It was occupied by the rulers called the Delhi Sultanate, and this is the eve of 1526. Okay. Babur uses a unique weapon which helped win the Battle of Panipat in 1526. Now, the Battle of Panipat is a major battle in Indian history because this is the battle which is a decisive battle where Babur is able to defeat the incumbent rulers. They were called the Lodhis, and it was a much larger army the incumbents had, and he had a much smaller army. And using unique tactics, he's able to, and interesting weapons, he's able to defeat them. So which of the four options you think it is?
Okay. A lot of people saying A. Some JD said, JD, you always want to be different. I am going to name call my friends in Singapore, Lilia and Andrea. Your final call. You need to unmute yourself.
Oh, Andre choose that. That's the thing. I really don't know.
No, we disagree. I was thinking about C, but
I think it's
A.
But I think that's when they find.
Okay.
All right.
A or C. A or C. You need to make a final decision now.
It's done.
Oh, is it done? Oh,
sorry. Yeah, it's D actually. It's cannons mounted on camels. It's an interesting weapon called the Zamburut. Here's an image of that. Okay, and now you had a battery of camels which were made to squat. The legs were tied, and you had a swivel cannon, the smaller one, which were aimed at specifically the elephants which were on the other side. And the sound and the gunfire, kind of scared them. They would turn around and charge into their own soldiers and trample them. And that was one of the reasons he was able to decisively win. Yeah, interesting warfare back then.
Sorry, Praveen, but I need to interrupt you because this thing is just blowing my mind. So I have to show you something. Look at this. I don't know if you can see this.
Hello.
It's a camel with a cannon. When I was a kid, I was playing a video game that is called Metal Slug. It's a Neo Geo video game. You go on, Maximino knows that. Oh my God. Anyone knows that? So I'm 34. I was playing that, I guess, about 20 years ago. Okay. So it was a Neo Geo video game, and you were jumping on camels, and camels had cannon, and they were shooting to people and then things. It was, like a shooting fire game. And this thing exists. So this is real. It's not a video game. Something real.
Well, it's a deja vu moment for you.
Who
Yeah, it
developed
is.
this
It
video
is.
game? Who developed
Yeah.
this video game? Giuliano.
We have to check. We have to check. It's a very famous video game sala. It's called Metal Slug. We're gonna check it later.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you would, in your wildest dreams, imagine to see this so shortly after that video game.
Exactly. Okay.
Interesting.
So
Very
to run.
interesting. Yeah. All right. Let's move on. So this is a beautiful painting of the ruler called Akbar. Now, Akbar is the grandson of the founder of the Mughal Empire. He gets to the throne at a very young age because of the sudden death of his father, whose name is Humayun. Now, Akbar is one of the few peoples in the world who has the appendage called the Great. Now, you're looking at people like Charlemagne the Great, or, Catherine the Great, or Peter the Great, Alexander the Great. You don't have too many people who have the appendage called the Great. Now, if Akbar is also one, in a recent survey done by Time magazine, he's rated, which basically rated the top 25 politicians in all of humanity. Akbar finds a prominent mention as well. Now, the reason he is great is for several reasons. I'll just cover a few of them. Now, one is, of course, he becomes an emperor at a very young age. And what he does is he expands the territory and consolidates it. And apart from that, he's also a great administrator, bringing in world-class administrative measures, and that sets the tone for the next 150 years of great Mughal rule. And as if that is not enough, he's also a major patron of arts and architecture, which we'll be covering more in the subsequent slides. Okay, yeah. He was very young, I mentioned. What do you think of his age? He was the ruler for 49 years. You've got to keep in mind that, life expectancy back then was not like how it is today. So what do you think was his age? A, B, C, D.
Oh. Amy, if you can hear me, I'm gonna give this right to you.
Oh my goodness! I didn't study. This is not fair.
Don't be afraid.
Okay. Well, considering what was considered young back then, I would probably guess A. I would probably consider 13.
Yay! Congratulations.
All right.
Not
Fantastic.
bad for a newbie.
Not bad. Okay, moving on. So I'm going to show you some images of beautiful forts in India. One of the tactics that Akbar specifically and the Mughals used was to have a string of fortifications and lovely and garrison towns across the empire, which was one of the ways to keep the territory under control. And this is the Red Fort in Delhi. It's a nice, beautiful painting from the 1800s. Here's another fort. This is called another Allahabad fort on the river Ganges. So we have several forts. I'm just showing you a few of them here. And it was just not him, the Mughals, who built, but also their feudatories. Like this is a beautiful fort in Rajasthan called the Chittorgarh Fort, who were the feudatories of the Mughals back then, who accepted the Mughals as their suzerains. And here's another beautiful fort in the state of Rajasthan called Mehrangarh. So if you come to India, you have to see all these lovely places. Yeah. So this was one of the tactics. Yeah. So this is how the empire expands. I won't go too much into detail, but you just need to know that 25% of the world population was within the Mughal realms by the time they were at the peak by the 1650s. And it becomes the world's second largest economy. Close to 24-25% of the produce in the entire world happened in this territory in a very short span of time. So that's remarkable. This is what people need to know. This is before the modern, the industrial age. This was a major, achievement. And let's go to the next slide. Okay, so this is what we're going to do today is we are going to focus, I told you, on some of the great Mughal monuments. Which are in the city of Agra, which was the capital. We're going to focus on three of them. One is the Taj Mahal, as I mentioned. There's an Agra fort and another place called Fatehpur Sikri, which is about an hour away from Taj. This is the fort in Agra, okay, which was the ancient capital which is the capital of Mughals. This is a beautiful red sandstone fort, a mighty fort even today. We'll be going in and seeing some of this stuff inside this fortification in the next few slides. Soon after you enter this, you'll come across this interesting object, what you see in the foreground. It's a round shaped object, which is about 8 feet in width and about 5 feet depth. This is how it looks like. It's got steps, inside as well as outside. My question is, what is this bowl-shaped object?
Okay. A lot of people started typing B, 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 B. Wow. So, C and D. I'm gonna give the choice to our only guest from Guatemala, Michelle. You make the call now. Can you unmute yourself and make a choice for us?
Okay, I think, good morning all.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I think it's number B, a portable bathtub.
Okay, is it a
It is.
Oh!
It is. It's funny that one of the rulers called Jahangir used to carry this along in his campaigns and on his tours wherever he went. It's a fairly large tub. You can have multiple people over there. I'm sure it must have been a very enjoyable thing to just plonk it in the middle of maybe near the Himalayas and jump into a hot bathtub. So they literally lived it up. So this is something that you notice no sooner you enter that fortification. Yeah. So let's move on to the next one. Yeah. So this is what you see, some of the structures inside the fort. This is a beautiful dwelling where the royals lived. It's made of marble. It's called the Taj Mahal. You'll see this lovely detailed marble carvings, and also the windows, letting in the sunlight are very delicate. Okay. So likewise, you can see more images of the same structure. So the upkeep is all right now. It was neglected during the British occupation of India and has been restored by the Archaeological Survey of India now. So it's still not bad. These are all from the 1600s. This one is from the 1630s. And this is a little better kept building. It's called the Musamandi. This is where the Emperor Shah Jahan lived. And it's got beautiful carvings like this on the walls, and also beautiful stone. There's inlay work. You see this yellow marble, yellow colored stuff is yellow marble, which has been, the marble has been scooped out and imprinted with other colored stones. And you're seeing some more Mughal features over here. These are beautiful windows called jalis, and these are not just in this area, this particular spot, but across the Mughal Empire. There are lots of monuments, and this is one of the common recurring themes that you get to see.
Praveen, can I ask you something?
Sure.
Do you know if that marble is locally produced, or is imported somewhere else?
It's local marble from a place called Makarana. It's in the neighboring state of Rajasthan, and you get some of the finest white marble, comparable to what you see in Carrara, for example, in Italy.
Okay, so it's mostly white marble, right?
You have different marble colors. You have black, you have green, you have yellow, and you have the whitest one is from this place called Makarana.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, it's all local. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. So this is the kind of patterns that you can get out of this, these windows.
Anybody else have questions?
This brings us to the next question. These jalis or the lattice windows are made of what material? Is it wood? Is it stone? Is it steel? Or glass?
So I'm waiting for answers. D or C? C, stone. Wow. A, wood. Nobody choose B yet. I'm gonna invite Gary. Gary, I'm gonna invite a gentleman. Gary, can you make a final call for us?
I'm going to take a shot at C for stone.
C for stone.
It is.
Oh!
It is. And you want to see how it looks like? You can see it in the next slide. It's really something to watch. Look at the patterns on those walls. Whatever you see which is perforated are stone windows, in different patterns. So this is a recurring theme that you see in Mughal architecture across India and South Asia, including Pakistan. All right, let's move on from here. you see the next building inside this is a beautiful red sandstone building called the Jahangir Mahal. This was the residence of Emperor Akbar. And you see the beautiful stone carvings. Let's just have a look at the pictures. And at the entrance of this building, you have this Jahangir Mahal, you have this iconography on the walls, which look like stars. Quite interesting, right? So my next question is, what is the star shape at the Taj? Is it the Jewish Star of David, the Hindi Shatkoni, Islamic Hub el-Hazab, or is it the Buddhist Enso? I mean, you have to remember these are Muslim rulers.
Joanna, I'm gonna give this one to you.
Going on logic, I would say Islamic.
Okay, is it Islamic? So, do you choose C then?
The answer is remarkable, right? So
wow.
This goes to, yeah. So that's the beauty of this empire, at least under one of the major rulers, that's Akbar, where it was very tolerant, and there was a good, even though the Muslims are ruling predominantly Hindu population, but they melded well, and there's a blending of cultures, which is one of the greatness of this period. Yeah.
What does it mean?
It's called, sorry?
The shape, does it mean anything?
It's called, it's basically a Hindu symbol. It's the union of the divine male and the female form. You know, the bottom one is the male, and the top one is the female divine forms. And it can be extrapolated further. So, in a nutshell, it's a very common Hindu symbol which you come across if you're in India. Moving on. So the Mughals, especially from Akbar onwards, were amazing patrons of the arts and architecture as well. And during its time, we have this beautiful painting called the miniature, Mughal miniatures, which takes deep roots. And you're seeing some of the lovely artworks over here. The center one is of one of the rulers called Shah Jahan, who's receiving his sons. And you see a lot of courtiers, at the bottom. On the extreme left, you have Emperor Akbar on a brown horse, on a hunting expedition. You'll see cheetahs over there, and hunting dogs, all of them going after the antelope. On the extreme right, you have some nobles riding elephants. So these are very detailed and vivid, small paintings, the size of an A4 sized paper. That's it. They were used as illustrations in books, or they were used as standalone, paintings. And this takes deep root during this time, and it's popular even to this day. This is one of the legacies of the Mughals even today. Here are some more specimens. This is a beautiful painting of Shah Jahan on a mock battle scene with his 3 sons, and some courtesans dancing as well. So that takes us to our next question. One of the greatest painters of all time is fascinated by miniature paintings. Now, who could this be? This is good. Is it Van Gogh? Is it Picasso, Raphael, or Rembrandt?
I'm waiting for people to type. C, Picasso, D. C and D seem to be a common choice. Boy as well. Nobody has chosen A, Van Gogh yet. I would like to invite Terumi-chan from Osaka. Terumi-chan, would you please make a choice for us, make a vote for us, please?
I chose Picasso.
You choose Picasso?
Yes.
So that would be C.
The correct answer is surprise.
Rembrandt.
So somebody,
yeah.
Oh, Giuliano said D. Wow, Giuliano, you knew the question before.
All right.
Not at all.
So why did you say Rembrandt? How come?
Rembrandt.
If you look at the light, well, now Praveen is actually showing it. Okay, so you have probably a Rembrandt on the right, and
that's the Jewish bride office. Yeah.
On the left. So you can see the way that the light is used, the way that the character is represented, and it looks more, it makes more sense Rembrandt than the others options. This is it.
Great, well, fantastic. I'm glad you guessed that right. It's remarkable that, you know, Rembrandt got hold of these paintings in the 1650s. You know, we're looking at a time where there's no internet, there is no, you know, email. It manages to reach his hands, and he's able to modify it and do it up the way he wants. He made 23 miniatures of these, and he was truly inspired. And if you look at his paintings, they're not as colorful as the one on the right-hand side, prior to these paintings coming to the Mughal painting coming into his hands. You know, they're more of the European style of, you know, grays and, you know, whites and the black, but not much color like the ones, the red vivid color over here. So I think this is inspired. And this is the influence he got from the Mughal miniatures. Okay, moving on. Magical, right? So let's have a look again. Here we are.
It's breathtaking. Breathtaking.
It still is one of the greatest monuments, even after 400 years, after it's almost 400 years, it's standing there.
I just want to ask, how many people actually have been to Taj Mahal? Can you raise your hand? Wow, lucky you guys.
It's one of those things you have to see in your lifetime, for sure. So here's the one of the images. This is taken in the early morning. It looks pinkish. The nice thing about this building, it looks different in different times of the day. So the early morning, it's pinkish. Okay, it took about 20 years, you know, from the 1630s to the 1650s for this monument to come up. 20,000 people have toiled on this. 1,000 elephants to cart the marble from Makarana, and yeah, so it looks milky white during the afternoon sun, and in the moonlight, it looks ethereal. You know, it's surreal experience. So it has to be seen in different times of the day to really admire. So. What is the Royal Palace? The Fort? Was it the Mughal Parliament, or is it the mosque?
I'm gonna invite Maximino.
All right.
Can you make a choice for us, Maximino?
It's a big responsibility.
Of course.
Oh, it's set to be.
You fulfilled your responsibility very well.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's move on. So this is the monument comes up for this young lady. Her name is Taj Mahal, and her husband is Shah Jahan over there, who is distraught when she dies, and he decides to erect the greatest monument for love, which is still no one has surpassed that even to this day. All right, that takes us to our next question. How did we have 4 options? Or was it during a pandemic like today, or was it in a battlefield?
So A and D. Some Michelle said D. A lot of people chose A.
Okay, it is indeed A. So, while giving birth to a 14th child, by the way, 13th or 14th, sorry.
Hold on.
She was 39.
Joanna, I want to ask you, like, how did it happen? A and D. Can you explain your rationale?
Well, I've been to the Taj Mahal, so I know the story. She actually followed Shah, well, the king, on to one of his battles, and then that's when she gave birth. So it was in a battlefield while giving birth.
Good one. That's true.
Wow.
That's very nice.
Impressive.
Right. Good one. Good one. Let's move on. Have a look. Okay, so this is a closer look of the building. Okay, so you see beautiful carvings on the marble facade, and this is an example of that. You know, it's the white marble has been scooped. It has been scooped out and replaced with these green jade, the yellow marble and black marble and other semi-precious stones. So this is the feature that you see if you go close to the Taj Mahal. So I have a question with regard to this. This is how, I mean, you can get souvenirs of this type. This workmanship is called pietra dura, basically. So it's, you scoop out the marble and replace it with semi-precious stones. So you can take these as souvenirs if you visit the Taj Mahal. That takes us to the next question. This form called pietra dura is of inlaying gems and semi-precious stones and marble is native to which city? Is it Shiraz in Iran? Or is it Pisa in Italy, Petra in Jordan?
I'm going to ask Rupak because it's a very difficult question. I will ask Rupak.
I will also perhaps make a guess this time. Maybe A. Is it A, Praveen?
Oh, come on, Rupak, you should get this.
No way!
Interesting, a European form was utilized at that point. European artists were actually called in to, to make this, and it was a surprise even for me to, discover this. Yeah, so it's the most, even to this day, Agra is the Pietra Dura center in the world. So very interesting realization even to me. I had to do a double check on that before I could insert this question in this quiz.
So Tarumicha and Giuliano, how did you know it's C?
Sorry?
I'm asking because they got it right. Tarumi and Giuliano, how did you get it right?
I know one friend who is owner of marbles, a marbles company.
Yes.
So he imported all marbles from Italy, he said.
Wow.
Interesting.
Pietra dura are two Italian words. So first of all, pietra dura are two Italian words. So you can guess from the words that they're just Italian, which means hard stone.
So you also have pizza.
Yes, exactly. And Florence, Praveen mentioned Carrara before. And the region around Florence is important for working this stone. If you go to visit Florence, you can find even churches that are made with the same stone that we saw in the pictures before. So I didn't know anything about Pisa because that could be Pisa and answer as well. So I thought that Florence was the city.
Oh,
Fantastic.
So logical. So logical. Fantastic.
All right, good show. Let's move on. So this is the very reason why the Taj is there, and this is the mausoleum or the cenotaph. And this is a false cenotaph, by the way, of Mumtaz Mahal. And beside her is her husband, the Shah Jahan. So you'll see this beautiful jali work that I showed earlier, encircling these tombs. And these tombs are having precious stones, and semi-precious stones on them. So that takes us to our next question. Where are the real graves of Mumtaz and Shah Jahan? One A below the existing ones in the Taj, and the Red Fort in Agra, the Red Fort in Delhi, in the Taj Mahal Gardens. What could it be?
A lot of people say A, Maxet, D, dog. A. Okay, Jose said A as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm debating. I think I'm going to ask Sumili to make the final call. Sumili, are you sure it's A? Sumili Chan, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, because I'm not sure. It's maybe. Yeah.
Is it maybe?
Your maybe is right.
Your maybe is right. Your maybe is right. Congratulations.
Right. The real ones are right below the, the false ones. Yeah, that was how it was back then. Let's move on. So I'm going to show you some slides which are not related to the Taj or the Mughals at all, just to show you the greatness of the kind of stone workmanship that exists in India. These are some of the next few slides. You'll see beautiful workmanship from around the country. This is in the deep south, not very far from where I am, in a place called Somnathpur. You see those beautiful figurines. This is made of soapstone, and it will blow your mind off. You have a closer look at these places. So I'm taking you to the next slide. This is in central India in a beautiful temple called Khajuraho. Look at the detailing on stone. I mean, you will not see anything comparable anywhere in the world. I can assure you that. I mean, you'll see some stuff in Southeast Asia and all that, but this kind of detailing is only in these parts of the world. Here's another example from the deep south. It's a place called Belur. And have a look at the ceiling in a temple in Rajasthan, and this is a Tilwara Jain temple. This looks like filigree, and it's all marble actually. So there's a huge hoary tradition of extreme good carvings in stone from millennia, and it's such kind of artists who have actually worked on the Taj as well. Okay, let's move on. Question. So this is an interesting one. According to some historical reports, there were plans to build another Taj Mahal facing the existing one for Shah Jahan, who was her husband. Eventually, he's buried next to Mumtaz. But what color was it supposed to be? Was it A? Is it red, black, yellow, or multicolor?
I'm gonna ask Jose. Jose, I haven't called your name yet. So people actually say A, B, C.
Hello, everyone. I'll say C.
C?
Yellow.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. It's hard to believe it's B. Okay, and possibly this is how it would have looked had it come up. Yeah, so this is one of the stories you get to hear when you go to the Taj, and it's an interesting one. This was meant to have come up across the Taj Mahal on the other side of the river. Yeah. Okay, moving on. So, what was India known as during the period? This is a relatively easy one, I would say. So, we have Hindustan. Is it Bharat? Is it Moghalistan? Or what is the Chagatai Kannate?
I need a volunteer now. People are typing A, B, C.
Okay, I won't take much time, should I?
Who's brave enough to make a call for the group? Joanna, you're up for saying something.
It's a hard one. I don't know why B sounds familiar.
Okay, is it B? Is it B?
Yeah, actually, yeah, this is how India was known as back then during the Muslim occupation. So the Mughals also, it is called the Hindustan. Okay, moving on. These are beautiful artists working on looms, and it was during the Mughal period when, the handloom industry, really takes off, and it becomes the largest manufacturing industry in the whole world in the 1600s. So you had some of the finest cotton cloths manufactured, and which was sought after across the world. And it was so fine that you could, run through this entire fabric through a finger ring. It was that fine, the material. It was really sought after in Europe and Southeast Asia and other parts of the world. And it was the most traded, produce in the world at that time. Interesting, yeah. So it was just not cotton, but you had some of the finest fabrics being manufactured in India. It's just not during the Mughal time, it was from even a prior period. But during this time, it really takes off as an industry. So you had the finest of, silks and jacquards and, other fabrics which were embellished with gold and silver thread. You see the painting in the center is a Mughal era painting, and you see contemporary women on the either sides wearing similar garments. It's just supposed to show that it hasn't changed over 400 years. And so, as I mentioned, jacquards or silks or even wools, which were embellished with gemstones as well as gold and silver threads. Here's another picture where you see on either side the modern South Asians wearing these kind of garments during special occasions like weddings or festivals or other special occasions. Not very different from what you see in the center. The men were not far behind. In the Mughal time, actually, they were a step ahead. You didn't see too many women back then. So the men were really the ones who were, wearing these really embellished costumes. Specifically, Emperors Jahangir and Shah Jahan, their clothing was actually jewels. You're talking of gold, diamonds and rubies and pearls encrusted on the fabric and sewn with gold and silver thread. And you can see some modern imitations on either side, which are of the men. So, moving on. What was the most traded item in the world in the 1600s? Indian and Indonesian spices, Indian cotton textiles, South American silver, or the Chinese tea?
Okay, that's going to be a controversial one.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, we have A and B and C. Nobody chosen D dog yet, so we have among A and B and C. Amy, I'm gonna be extra friendly to newbies today. Would you like to have a go? Final say.
Sure. I'm just gonna guess. I'm gonna say A.
Okay.
Okay.
That's a guess. Oh. All right. I'm at 50-50. 50-50. I'm all right still.
I know, this is why we have to do these kind of quizzes and programs like this. This is what the world does not know. This was the most traded manufactured goods in the entire 1600s. It's hard to believe. It was cotton textiles which were produced. The biggest production center in the whole world. What is China today was India. 24% of the GDP was here. So this was the mainstay, the product. This product was the mainstay, which was sought after and exported.
So what was the reason, Praveen, that India, actually I know before Industrial Revolution, India had a huge textile production.
Yeah.
Was it because
so we've had Greeks and Romans coming in from the 1st century to India for spices and textiles. So it goes back to those times, where goods were sought after. People were finding, routes to come to India for these goodies which were not available anywhere else. We had a new continent, the whole new world was discovered, seeking out these goodies. So it's always been there. So I would say probably the artists, the weavers. I think it because it's a holy tradition over millennia. So it's just been there. I don't know a specific reason, but possibly the availability of that kind of cotton and the skilled workers, who could produce those fabrics were always there, and that legacy has passed on from son to grandson to over the generations, and it's still there. If you come to India, even today, you see some of the finest handmade cloth, textiles and hand looms, even power looms with very detailed patterns and very different patterns. You get to see them even now. Across the country, we have different major centers like Banaras, like Chanderi, like Puchampalli, Kanjivaram, Mysore silks. All these are different types of weaving techniques, and these are all geographically tagged, indexed. If you look up these, and these are produced only in that part of the world, so it's that unique. So continue. Okay, so we'll move on. So this is the last monument that we're going to cover in this chapter. So this is Fatehpur Sikri, which is about an hour from the Taj Mahal. It's not exactly in Agra, but it's a little away, an hour's drive. And it was capital of the Mughals for a brief period in the 1600s, the latter part. Akbar built this in the 1671, actually. And once you know, as soon as you get in there, you see this massive stone, sandstone piece of work, and it's called the Buland Darwaza. And we have a question on this on the next slide. So what is this thing called the Buland Darwaza? It's the largest something. So what is it? It's the largest mosque in India.
It's the largest something. I love it. So C-A, it's between C and A. Oh, Andrea said B for boy. A lot of people type C.
Okay. So
Sumili, I'm going to name you now. Call your name. What do you think? I'm going to ask you to make a group decision for us. Which one would you choose? You have to unmute yourself.
Okay, I'll give the answer. So it is the largest gateway in the entire world. So it's the entrance to a large fortification inside which we'll see some of the monuments now. Yeah. So you'll get to see this beautiful building. It's called the Taj Mahal. This was the summer palace of Emperor Akbar. So Akbar builds this Fatehpur Sikri. He carts he moves the entire courtiers and the entire administration to a new place and builds this fortification, and inside which you have the dwellings, the administrative blocks, and the religious structures, and it then gets abandoned within a short period of time. So it was the capital only for about 15 years, and inside this you have this summer palace. It's called the Taj Mahal. India is a hot country, especially that part of the world. And you see there are no windows on that building. So back then they had bamboo curtains, which were used as walls and which were sprayed with, water scented with, rose water as well as musk. So that kind of gives them a fragrant smell in those buildings. Yeah, so let's move on to the next slide. What was the fourth record-keeping language of the Mughals? Was it Urdu, or Hindi, Sanskrit, or Persian?
So JD said A. We're going to follow JD.
A and B is a good one.
Why don't you say A and B and C and D? So, okay, we got a lot of A, a lot of B, and a lot of C.
Okay, should I give out?
Yeah, please.
What? It's surprising.
What?
Well, the Mughals are real suckers for Persian, I must say. They love this language and everything that comes with the Persian, culture, whether it was the paintings which were inspired, or the food, or the language, or the poetry, the script. Right from Babur, the emperor. He was a very erudite person. We have one of the best autobiography in the world from the 1500s, which is written by him. It's interesting to, it's very candid. One has to read that. It's a beautiful book. It's very revelatory about him. And it is not written in Persian, but in another language called Chagatai Turkic. But you can, when you read that, you'll see how enamored he was with Persian, and that continues throughout. And yeah.
Do you know if it was actually Persian that they were speaking, that they were spoken, or Farsi, which is actually what they speak now?
It's the same, Farsi and Persian.
Okay, so that would be Farsi then.
No, sorry. Persian is different from Farsi.
Okay, so Persian is old, is the ancient, let's say, Fars in some way. So that would be Persian in this case.
Parsi would be a Zoroastrian, the inhabitants who were there in Persia before the arrival of Islam.
Okay, so they were actually speaking Persian.
Yeah, this is like, the script is Arabic.
Yeah, okay. Interesting. Okay, thank you.
So right up till the early 1800s, this was the court languages in most of North India. It's very surprising. If you want to look up Indian history before the 1800s, you have to know Persian, because most of the records are in that. It's only from the 1800s we have English records during the British times.
Okay.
So, Praveen, I'm going to give you 5 extra minutes because...
Yeah. We're almost ending now.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So some of the other beautiful buildings, this is called the Diwani Khas. Supposedly this is where Akbar met with his family, his sons, and other nobles and special visitors. It's a beautiful red monument made of red sandstone. And this is another beautiful place called Jodha Bai's Palace. This was where the women folk of the Mughal Empire, the royals lived. Back then, all the Mughal rulers had massive harems. They had multiple wives, concubines, and then you had other women folk like their mothers, cousins, aunts, everybody. They all stayed in the most secure place in the whole empire. This is one such place. Okay, the jewelry during Mughal times, again, is a major legacy even today. So, jewelry work like Meenakari, Kundan, Jadao, Polki, these are all very popular jewelry forms in India today. And they were patronized by the Mughals, and it was already there, but under them, it becomes an even bigger field, and that continues even to this day. You're seeing some of them. So they were all it's all rubies and diamonds and pearls. You have to realize the only diamond mine in the world was, the diamonds were available only in India until they were discovered in Brazil in the 1700s. So, in fact, there's an interesting story where the Portuguese who had a presence in India wanted to sell the diamonds in Europe from Brazil, but there were no takers. So they used to route it all the way to Goa and then take it across back to Europe, showing them as Indian diamonds so that they get a better value. So until the 1700s, this is how it was. All these were utilized back then, and it continues even to this day. So the Mughals were serious governments, and they loved the food. So this is a picture of the Persian emperor meeting one of the Mughal emperors called Humayun. And in Akbar's autobiography, there's a mention of where, they had a minister for food. Okay, there's also a mention of a kitchen garden where they reared their own fowl, and livestock like, sheep and goats, and which were fed gold pellets, silver pellets, and you're looking at saffron. And they grew their own grass, which were watered with scented water, which was scented, which was mixed with rose and musk, so that they could eat a scented grass, and that's how the flesh would be. So the animals lived a royal life until the last day as well. I'm going to show you some of the dishes which are the legacy of that time in the next few slides. I'm sorry if you are a vegetarian. I'm a vegetarian, but I'm still showing you this. This is called a nud masala. It's a stuffed whole chicken with minced meat and eggs served with rice. The biryani is famous across India. The Mughal biryani is different. It's lamb, it's saffron, dry fruits are utilized. It's less spiced than other biryanis across India. For the vegetarians, you have on the left something called a Navratan Kurma. 9 different types of vegetables and spice and dried fruits are utilized in this dish. And on the right is something called a khichdi, which is rice and lentils, which are slow cooked on a wooden fire. These are all very popular even to this day. The khichdi is the most common dish in India even today. And these are the familiar naans, the Indian bread, and the desserts like kulfi and something called kubani ka meeta made of apricot. So all these are popular. If you go to an Indian restaurant, you'll definitely come across these even today. And these are all coming from the Mughal Empire and even from before. What is the key feature of Mughlai cuisine? Okay, shall I give out the answer? Okay, I'll do that. So we are running out of time. It is B. There we are. Okay, so it's a mixture of all. So you have dry fruits, it's very creamy, it's very rich. So, spices, the best of everything. That's how it was. Okay. The Mughals were major patrons of music as well. So during its time, there's a musical form called Hindustani, which takes shape, which is a blending of Islamic Sufi music as well as the traditional Indian temple music. And during Akbar's time, he really patronizes this form of music, and it's a very popular form even today. So this is a beautiful location in what you see here is a little platform surrounded by water facing Akbar's summer palace in Fatehpur Sikri, which is used as a concert venue. So many instruments which are from the Mughal era are popular even today. One of them. In our next slide, I'm going to end this with a performance of one of the great artists of India who plays the instrument from Mughal times. Let's have a look at it. And it's about 2 minutes, then we can break off. Well, that was it.
Wow, thank you so much.
Yeah, I hope you all enjoyed it. I'm sorry I went over time by 5 minutes.
Thank you so much, Praveen, for presenting us the
My
cultural
pleasure.
heritage.
It was really engaging. Thank you.
Yes, you definitely inspired many conversations, and we would love to have all the food you showed. Any particular aspirate, I think you make everybody hungry. So yeah, have we got any questions before we close the event today? Okay, I think everybody is very happy, very hungry for food now. We want to
know how to prepare. I want to know how to prepare all those things. We should make an extra session to prepare the Mughal dishes.
JD, he provides cooking session.
This is amazing. So JD, this is on you. A lot of pressure right now on you.
Yeah, I know most of the dishes, how to prepare most of the dishes.
Please.
So
please.
next episode.
Sure. I'll share the recipes.
I think the three Indians guys, Rupak starts with history, and Praveen does culture. That leads to JD at the end for food. Fantastic, a good combination. I would like now to invite Sumili to tell us what will happen next, if we may.
Just now, yeah. So, yeah, actually, so next Friday, so Sunny does the presentation about Wuhan city. So actually, her hometown is Wuhan. Yes. So do you know? So But so actually, all we know is what happened in Wuhan in January, only in media. But we want to know the just true story, their family story or friendly story. So I'd like to, so make you have fun about Wuhan for positive way. Yeah.
Yes. So before COVID-19, nobody have heard of Wuhan. But actually, it's a very big city. It's exactly in the center of China. The whole population is the whole population of London. But now, of course, everybody knows Wuhan, but not for the right comprehensive reason. So next week we have Sunny, who was born and grew up in Wuhan, to tell us the true face of Wuhan and some of her family and friends stories during the pandemic. So Sumili will be facilitating and with Sunny telling the story. Thank you very much, everybody. We will see you next Friday.
Thank you all. It's wonderful.
Thank you, Praveen. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Pleasure is all mine. Thank you again. Bye-bye.
Bye.